Hello, the internet! And these are the Dinosaurs characters from good to evil. First, we'll be starting with the purest of pure and working our way up to the most evil. These characters are the good. The gold medal of good goes to Fran Sinclair. Fran is the epitome of a loving mother and wife to her family. She's shown to be very kind, understanding, and responsible. She's shown to be a voice of reason to the family, always giving out advice on how life can be better, like trying to talk Earl out of making dumb decisions, with mixed results on that. She's also one of the more sane characters in the show, when everybody else is either a complete idiot or jerk. That's not to say that she's perfect, as she has made some mistakes, like becoming obsessed with turning baby into a star that nearly causes him to become a shallow star. Which thankfully she does realize her mistake, but Fran is willing to willing to own to her mistakes for the sake of her family. Kind, responsible, nurturing, and sensible, Fran earns this high spot on the good. The silver medal of good is going to Roy Hess, Earl's best pal. Though he may not be the smartest character in the show, he is one of the most kindest and selfless as any good pal. Roy always sticks with Earl thick and thin, always trying to help the family the best he can. He was even willing to marry Monica so he wouldn't have to so she won't have to so she would still have to live so someone won't have to be kicked out of Pangea. Overall, Roy is a good friend and a good dinosaur. The bronze medal of goodness is going to Monica Deverbra, one of Sinclair's next door neighbors and a real estate agent. This four-legged being is shown to be sassy and isn't shy on talking back to men, preferring to be independent, but she's also willing to show to be friendly towards the Sinclairs, as she is friends with them. As she will help out the Sinclairs when needed. She's overall a good person for her willingness to stand up towards the unfairness of her home place, like dealing with sexist and racist dinosaurs, like a true queen. Next up, we have two of the Sinclair children, Robbie and Charlene Sinclair. We decided to place them both together since they are both flawed in their own ways. With Robbie, he's the typical teen boy trying to find his fitting, which leads into typical teen antics like hormones and even steroids or thornoids in this universe. While Charlene, she's the typical teen girl obsessed with boys and fashion. They're both flawed in both ways, so you can't say one is worse than the other. That being said, they are still good kids, as they are willing to help out the family and willing to defend one another, especially the baby. So I'd say they are good kids. And round up the good characters, we have the main dinosaur, Earl Sinclair, the main character and father of the Sinclair family. Earl does have his faults. He's the typical bumbling dad you've seen in many sitcoms before and after, but for one thing, he can do some pretty stupid things that can cause trouble. He can also quite have a temper, not to mention he did unintentionally play part in dooming the dinosaur world. However, at the end of the day, Earl is still a loving father and husband, and will be there for his family, not to mention then he has had his share of good deeds, like exposing Georgie for the crook he is. And that time he became a superhero that stopped many threats, only to be part of a promotional deal with Richfield when Richfield blackmailed him. Overall, Earl does have a lot of faults, but his good deeds overweigh his negatives. Now let's move on with the gray area. Yeah, I know this list is pretty short, but there aren't really a lot of nice characters in this series. So let's move on to the characters. They're not bad, but aren't good either. First off, let's talk about Pearl Sinclair, Earl's sister. Appeared in one episode, she shows up at the Sinclair house much to the annoyance of Earl. Though we can't understand his frustration, as she did left the family after their dad died in order to become a famous country singer. While it's admirable to follow your dream, pursuing it while abandoning your family was not a good look. Still, she does seem kind to her family, especially her brother after all these years. Fortunately, the two are able to make up, as Earl learns to accept Pearl for who she is. Ethel Sinclair is next. She's the typical nagging mother-in-law you've seen in many sitcoms before. She's usually seen berating and hitting Earl. That being said, Ethel isn't completely heartless, As while she may not be a fan of Earl, she does seem to care for her daughter Fran and grandkids, especially the baby. She is also shown to be wise, as she will give advice to her family when needed. Granted, sometimes these advice go nowhere, but it's a thought that counts. Overall, she may not be the most pleasant, but she does have a heart. Howard Hendupment is next. This is Howard Hendupment. There's not a whole lot to talk about this guy. He's the anchorman of Pangea, and that's about it. That being said, he does take part in some of the ridiculous actions in this world. We'll keep him in the gray area. Next, we have the baby. Gotta love him. For anyone who's seen this show, you already know who the baby is. Known for his many iconic lines, like "Not the mama" and "I'm the baby, gotta love me." As those of me may love him, the baby can be quite bratty. He can be selfish and self-centered. He has a habit of beating his father with a frying pan. However, he is just a baby and doesn't know any better, so we can't go too hard on him. And he does have his good deeds, like helping his father, brother, and Uncle Roy from drowning in a tar pit in the episode Into the Woods. So that's enough to keep him out of the bad tier. And rounding up the gray area, we have Spike. He's Robbie's best friend, but he's not a very good influence of him. As he is shown to be a troublemaker, he can sometimes lead to him and Robbie into trouble, as the advice can come across as dubious. That being said, he does care for Robbie's well-being, and does have some lines he won't cross, so I guess he's not all that bad. Now let's move on for the characters we're glad were extinct, the bad to evil. Starting out this section with our bronze medal of evil, we have the Elder Chief, the head of the entire Pangea government. The Chief Elder is an example of a bad politician in this world of dinosaurs. And it really does show. Like starting wars for minor things like nuts, blaming four-leggers for stealing their work even though it was their own fault, and outlawing them as outcasts, making the religion of potatoism and threatening anyone who questions it, etc. The best we can say about him is that he did praise Earl's brave act of stopping Georgie and pardoning him of all crimes. Still, this guy is pretty much what's wrong with politics as a whole. The Silver Medal of Evil is definitely not special at all. Well, he is special, but not in a good way. It's Georgie the Hippo! This universe's version of Barney. Well, at first he does seem like a friendly guy who wants to make children happy, but it turns out he's actually an evil, power-hungry megalomaniac. He runs his Georgie empire with an iron fist, who only cares about power than actually entertain kids. He plots to take over the world by airing his show from every single television. He even uses implants reservoirs during dental checkups. He also does not take fondly to those who stand up against him, and be quite violent as well, and we're glad Earl finished him off and took down his empire. Greedy, cruel, two-faced, Georgie is a prime example of an evil in sheep's clothing. And finally, the gold medal of evil goes to B.P. Richfield, the main antagonist of the series and the head of the We Say So company. Richfield is every mean boss character you've seen roll into one. He doesn't seem to care for his employees, is extremely violent, has an awful temper, and is, of course, extremely greedy. But what truly gives him the gold medal of evil is how he basically caused the entire end of the world by wiping out the bunch beetles to extinction, causing the sire poppies to grow uncontrollably, which eventually led to his company destroying the world he lives in by planting bombs into volcanoes, which causes the entire ice age. But Richfield didn't care about that at all, or if any of the dinosaurs or himself will go extinct, as long as he gets his money, though considering what happens next, it's likely he won't be able to spend it all. And now before we end this video, let's move on with our Sinner medals. First off, the Gluttony medal is going to Baby, as he's shown to think of food and eat a lot. The Dharma medal could go to anyone in this series because a lot of the characters are shown to be pretty stupid, but we think the Chief Elder takes this since his decisions have some pretty harsh consequences. The Pride medal is going to Earl, as he comes across as cocky at times. The Greed medal is going to Richfield, but instead going to Georgie, as stated before. He only cares for power and money. And finally, the Wrath medal is going to Richfield for his fiery tempo and violent outburst. Alright, that's my list. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you all next time. Do 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 ba 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 ba.